Hello guys, I wanted to talk with you today about an interesting bill that's being introduced in Georgia, and it's already passed the Senate, and it may end up becoming a law. This is called Bill 393. It's being introduced by Republican State Senator Greg Dolezal, and basically what this bill is, it's an anti-censorship bill, and so it has some interesting things that they're trying to accomplish. So they say that this anti-censorship bill is going to be targeting any social media company with more than 20 million users or followers. I don't really know how they're going to keep track of that or figure that out, but basically every major social media company will have to abide by this if it becomes law. And so what they are attempting to do, essentially, there are two tactics here that they're using. One is that they're setting up a system of regular. They're going to require that social media companies must regularly publish how they moderate their content, how they target their users, and how they spread or hide any specific content. That's very interesting. So these social media companies like Facebook, they're going to have, if this law were passed and they want to operate in Georgia, they're going to have to publish they're going to have to publish publicly, or at least to somebody to a Georgia lawmaker. Somebody is going to have to audit how a social media company like Facebook is targeting users and hiding or banning users. So if they're straight up banning accounts, then they're going to have to report that. They're going to have to answer for it potentially, because the second aspect of this bill is that Georgians would then be able to file civil lawsuits or even class actions if they have allegations of being treated unfairly on a social media platform. So now, if this law goes through the House of Representatives, and I think it's in progress. Last thing I checked, it hasn't passed the House yet, but it would pass the Senate. It's being sent to the House, and this is the Georgia state legislation. This isn't Congress, but it's a start. And what's also fascinating is that there are similar laws that are being proposed in Texas and Florida, but they're being challenged in the court and they're held up. They haven't gotten this far. So, yeah, okay, so both of those are very fascinating. So not only will social media companies have to be held accountable based on the tactics of their algorithms, which frankly we should have a better understanding of what goes on behind the scenes, because these companies, they moderate content and their tactics and the way they write their algorithm, like it's impossible to comprehend from an outsider, and our government sure doesn't understand it. None of us really get it, and so they're going to make this more public, and I think that's a great thing to make these social media companies be held accountable for how they manipulate what is being published, what is being posted. What the content and their accounts, how they manipulate it, and how they pull strings behind the scenes. That's something that we need to see. And the appeals court is a good idea too, because if Georgians can then file a class action, let's say on behalf of some some anti-vax group, or I don't know, whatever. But if a handful of people in Georgia get together, they can sue the company, and and it just begs the question: are these companies so? There's this dichotomy, you could say, between a telephone company or a print publisher. So a telephone company gives full service to anybody who pays their bills, and in this context, if you're paying your bills, i.e., you use the product, you use Facebook regularly, and they are mining your information and your behavioral activity for profits and advertising and targeting you as a user, you've paid. You pay with your information, but Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, they choose not to give you service after you've paid. So they're not a telephone company. Are they a print publisher? Well, no, they're not that either. They are, because a print publisher is 100%, they are in charge of every bit of content that comes, they direct and edit and proof and approve every bit of content that they promote. And then they are held legally accountable for anything that they say. And these social media companies, they're not that either. They're somewhere in between here, and so they're bouncing around in this gray area between a telephone company and a publisher. And meanwhile, our freedom of speech, our most important amendment, the central tenet of our entire democracy, weighs in the balance, because what Greg Dolezal goes on to say is that, I quote, "Social media companies are the 21st century public square. Any idea, no matter how asinine, we believe there is room for in this country to discuss." I couldn't have said it better myself. So, absolutely. So he's something of a free speech absolutist, to the extent that that we need to be able to say almost whatever we, I agree. I would go just as far as him in what he's saying there. Like as long as you're not threatening someone directly with violence, that's about the limit of what I would say. And even then, that's questionable. I mean, threats of violence are subjective, but I like that free speech absolutism that he has. I believe that myself. And so he also acknowledges that the state of Georgia will likely be sued if this passes, but he says he welcomes that lawsuit, and he wants to challenge it in the Supreme Court. He hopes for that challenge. So this guy's not messing around. He's playing hardball here. This state senator Dolezal, and I wish him the best of luck. I think it's promising. I think it's exciting to see this kind of thing go on, and these social media companies like Facebook and Twitter and even Google, they brought this on themselves. I mean, because it's been quoted by Dolezal as well as other legislators doing the same thing, that the main inspiration, V1 motivator for doing this was President Donald Trump being banned from social media, our president having his First Amendment rights yanked from us in the public square. It's, again, I've mentioned multiple times how bad that was, but anyway, so that was their main inspiration. So you guys, you Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you guys have this. You can only blame yourselves for this. So I wish you guys the best of luck in Georgia. Thank you.